young champions spinning a ball between prolific, magic-weaving fingertips. The would-be back-to-backers, all the first-time finalists, 80 minutes to decide the Queens of English Rugby in 2024. Abby Ward, co-captain, who emerged carrying Hallie to get this final underway, the recipient of that kickoff, and coast to coast go Bears. It's the Bears' way. Throwing some serious leather already before Sandy Park, that far stand packed out. The stand before us pretty well occupied too. They're making some noise. And the first error from Bristol. It is their Achilles heel. If you're going to roll the dice each and every time you attack, you're going to have to roll with the punches too. But Bonner did brilliantly to defuse that one and scamper back in against the grain, breaking a couple of tackles. Bristol's back of the season, who had such a tumultuous time at the Stonex. The yellow card, then the try to put the game to bed. Lark Akin-Davies, who's going to have made it back-to-back top try-scoring accolades. Bevan with crisp service up and onto Merrill Smith, the young Scot. Penalty goes the way of Bears. And welcome up to commentary, Emily Scarrett, and first Casey Daly-Wickley.
Hello, how are you? What an occasion it is to be here today, isn't it? It looks absolutely beautiful. It's a really good crowd. It's got a really good atmosphere, and what a start from Bristol.
Yeah, I think Dave Ward spoke about it pre-game, didn't he, in terms of Bristol wanted to come out here and they wanted to do exactly their thing, and we've seen that right from the off, playing from deep, playing those balls out the back, and Gloucester just got caught a little bit on that far side on that very first play. Just kind of, you cast the line out a little bit as a Bristol attack, and you see who can come and bite, and they just got a little nibble on the edge there.
We're going to win it, he told our reporter Laura Jane Jones pre-match, the Bears' way. Well, Akin-Davies with her first line out, Julie obliging, finding the mark. We've seen them down one side of the pitch, let's see them up the other. Here is Bonner. Well met, well wrapped up, but using that deceptive strength to stay in field. Ward has it now, tackle coming in from Neve Jones, the Irish hooker, who scarcely misses a shot in defence. Well over 200 made for the season, and another double shot rains in. The intent, the intensity is clear, but the penalty again goes the way of Bristol.
It's interesting the way Bristol play. We know their DNA, we know they want to go edge to edge, but for me, just the amount of energy, they've pretty much moved nowhere in 2 minutes 43 of play from where the kickoff from Cleaky George was met. It just takes so much energy from your forwards.
Well, Pip Hendy on the left wing, looking to just keep that in field, but the flag came up from Harry Woolbum on this near touchline. It will be another Bears line out. Up rises Burns, but it's through her fingertips and into the clutches of Byrne, who gets the little chicken wing away, and now Swift into play, and the switch in the midfield finds the boot of Smith onto George. George scanning, thinks she spied a bit of open prairie in the backfield and just sends that out on the full. A collector's item, an error from the boot of Cleaky George.
Yeah, there was lots of initial space there from Cleaky. I mean, a bit of a trick play there from Bristol in terms of how they manufactured that kick and trying to find space, but yeah, Cleaky will want to ease into that a bit more.
You watch it here, it's a bit, not a perfect line-up, not pretty, but they move it. They're looking for Merrill Smith on that switch, and she's looking to find that corner. But it's hard, isn't it? It's hard, those players that you've ran in training, because you're expecting defences to react in the same way. You see it again now here, the pass goes, she comes on that little switch play. For me, it's maybe a bit overcomplicated for what you want to do, but it's not a great connection, it's not a good kick. I think Cleaky's got to send that straight away, because she sends it into that corner and you're making fullbacks work. In that instance, overcooks it and it goes straight out.
Hey, but how good is the chess battle already? Did anyone expect Bristol to kick from the midfield?
No.
No. So immediately we've already got those cogs turning, those minds working. That Gloucester backfield now know they've got to be right on it.
Well, we all got very nerdy and excited in the week when we saw Merrill Smith named at fullback, because it gives them yet another kicking option, another playmaker. She's much more likely to hoof it than Ella Loverbond, who was wearing the 15 jersey against Saracens a fortnight ago. We've seen that come to the fore already, but what we haven't seen is Gloucester Hartbury ball in hand. So here's the first flex of their attacking muscles. Hunt finds Monaghan, and now Hunt again on to George. Muir with an audacious little shrug of the shoulders and then a carry in hard towards the blue defensive line. George finds fellow Welshwoman Jones. This now is Mia Benner, drops it onto her laces and sets off after the scuttling ball. Support lines there from Hunt. They're into the 22 and they rarely leave these positions without points. Niamh Jones, axing the scrum half, finds Beckett, who scored in the semi-final last year and then again in the final. There are very few better players in big games than the woman wearing 5 today for Gloucester Hartbury. Hunt on to George, delays the pass. She's got Hannah Jones on her shoulder into that 5-metre channel. Bonner makes the tackle. Murray rising too. This is Aldcroft.
No, leave it. Ball's here.
No one starts better in the league than the Cherry and Whites. They fly from the traps. We saw it against Chiefs 2 weeks ago, but they've been stymied this time. And surprise, surprise, it's Evie Gallagher who rises with the plaudits.
Well, we've seen so much in that semi-final. Bristol defending. This is how it all starts. Gloucester really move the ball so well into that wide channel. We spoke about Mia Venner pre-game, just a lovely little touch, doesn't put too much on it. Ability to regain and that continuity from Gloucester. And then this is, as they come all the way down the field, just so strong over the ball. This is something that they were so good at in their 22, in the semi-final, got so much good ball back.
And it just relieves pressure. When you're a side that you know the other team wants to play, you've got to be really sure that if you're going to overplay in your 22, that if you have to absorb pressure, you have key players like Evie Gallagher who are going to come up with big moments and just switch.
Sorry, it's the one thing Gloucester have to be careful of, the way they attack, because they tip inside outside offload. Often you get taken out and sometimes you're the person required at that breakdown to get to secure it.
Well, the sunshine's gorgeous today and it's a balmy 20 degrees, but we should mention that the trademark Sandy Park breeze is in full effect. You can see that in some of the scrappy lineouts that we've witnessed. But again, hand comes out from Sarah Cox, our referee, so it's a free hit, which we'll come back for. Bears dominating the penalty count early doors.
They are, aren't they? But again, it's not really a trade-off for them at the moment. I mean, the first kick there didn't get a lot of range, but they've got to move this up the field. You know, it's great having all this possession. We see Holly there, like Emily touched on there, we're seeing Bristol kick, aren't we? The switch play from Meryl Smith to the corner, the little chip over, just starts to put a bit of doubt in Gloucester in terms of what you would have prepped in the week.
Yeah, and it's the variety of kicks. It's not all the same, so that you can get into a groove defensively and you understand what's happening. It's complete variety. Gloucester, incredibly structured, well-organised defence. You have to mix things up in front of them.
Well, they kicked 4 times against Saracens at the Stonex. I reckon they've hit that already today. In off her wing is Bonner. Siding infield meets Niamh Jones, who's only 5'2", but has a kind of 6'2" energy about her. Seems to be hewn from titanium. She gets the shot in there, and now Smith is very well wrapped up by Venner and Hannah Jones. Swiftly away. Bevan, whose parents we heard from pre-match, always in the stands, waving flags, making noise. Such supporters of this blue juggernaut from the West Country, playing in their first Premiership final. Byrne manages to find Aitchison. This now is Murray. Bonner with a little bit of space gets one of those fabulous steps away. Still going Bonner. On to Gallagher, carrying like a Trojan up to 5 metres out. That's the Bristol Bears way. Bevan on to Atkin-Davies, who straightens up the guts of Cherry and White's defenders. Now the Bristol fans find themselves in full voice. Now the offload, now the attempt to get the ball down, but held up. It is scramble defence from the reigning champions, and it comes up trumps.
Wow, I'm looking at Skaz here, and for me, I think if Abby Ward had a reach there, I think she was over. I don't think she realises where she was, but if you watch us here, it's a lovely line, great offload. Oh, is it Aldcroft who? Oh no, Monaghan. Whoever makes that tackle stops the reach, gets over. Hannah Jones gets her over the stop and stops the reach.
The dropout taken, and now Bears get another bite at the Cherry and Whites. Bevan finds Bosserman. I've not said her name yet, but I suspect we will be saying it a fair bit over the remaining 70 minutes of this final, which has sparked into life absolutely brilliantly, putting the pyrotechnics on the team's emergence to shame. So much energy, so much intent. Reed slaloming up that 15-metre, juggled, batted, backwards, kicked like a cork from a bottle. Put in will be Gloucester Hartleys.
That would be a better defensive set from a Gloucester point of view. It's completely understandable and inevitable. You know, you'll have done all the prep, but actually when things are in front of you and they're running at you, it's so hard not to step in and not to get narrow. That set there from Gloucester, just being able to hold their width, let that happen in front of them. Bristol run loads of these kind of short player at the line, out the back plays, looking to do quite a lot of Kira Bevan in that last play as well, get 9 really active. You're just looking at some of the quality on both of these sides. It's a hot day out there, but...
It's the front rows for this one. Mackenzie Carson, Niamh Jones, Maud Muir up against Hannah Bosserman, Lark Atkin-Davies, and on her return ahead of schedule from her meniscus injury, Sarah Byrne. It is arguably the Red Roses' first choice front row that all of a sudden Bears are able to assemble for the biggest game of their history.
Pretty perfect timing, isn't it? You think you go back 2 weeks to that semi and we had Hannah Botman playing out of position, other side of the scrum, and now, like you say, you probably have got, when on form, one of the best front rows in the world at the moment, and Bristol are able to roll them out. And we don't know how long Sarah Byrne will play today, but she doesn't particularly look off the pace after, what, 9 months out?
I'd love to see her on a carry early doors, though. We've probably not seen it yet, have we? I'd be like, get her straight into the game, straight off 9, down a channel, get her right into the game and get those, you know, those legs and all that physicality pumping.
Yeah, she's almost wasted in the scrum, isn't she? You want to see her in the midfield having a gallop.
Okay. I'm not sure Dave Ward would agree with wasted in the scrum.
He told me once that he'd play her at centre if he had to, and I do believe him. Mo Hunt with the put-in, the bescrunchied talisman of Queensholme. Bevan lurking on her shoulder. Akira Bevan, who said in the week how excited she was to go toe-to-toe with one of the best scrum halves in the world. But Hunt is a spectator, and that only because Aldcroft has set off from the base, punching up through the midfield and back into the pocket it goes. It's a proper spiral from Flaky George, but Bonner safe as houses beneath it. She's been racking up the defenders beaten already, has Bonner, whose blue ribbon you can just see thrashing in and amongst all the red and white jerseys there.
Really unfortunate there, Gloucester. Looked like they'd probably had that held up in that maul, but I just don't think Sarah Cox had called it in time.
Butchers onto Byrne, who's able to only loft it into the touchline. Thought she had Bonner there, but it's an unforced error, and we know that Bristol will concede them. Just got to stem the bleeding.
Yeah, I mean, it's everything you hoped, isn't it? You know, it's just getting a little bit eager, isn't it? Just on the flat on the line, and probably in that instance is where you want Sarah Byrne to carry. We just talked about it there, didn't you? Against a back, against a winger, you want that Sarah Byrne, big fend, running over, and I'm sure Pip Hendy was very happy that ball was moved.
Jones finding Lewis there and down to Hunt, so all three of the nations combining there. Here now is Hendy, hungry for work off her wing. The 21-year-old who's not skipped a beat since an injury to Rachel Lund in January saw her elevated into this defending champion starting lineup. So comfortable playing at Premiership level. Tatiana Hurd finds herself on litter, picking duty, gets the fend away on Reed and on Butchers. Messy at the breakdown, bodies all over the place, and now Aldcroft fancies making some hay and trundles up over the top of Byrne, who somersaults and is swiftly to her feet. Bonner's had about 5 touches of the ball already and got 3 goosies away too. Bosserman with a meaty chug. Never seems indecisive, ball in hand. The only way she knows is forwards. Murray in at first receiver, and now Marston Mulhern onto a scampering Aitchison, who whipped that on to Gallagher. Here now is Smith. She's got Keats on her shoulder. Courtney Keats introduced early doors against Saracens when Deborah Wills went down with that ACL injury. It's her 50th appearance today, the Welsh winger. Dave Ward speaking glowingly in the week about her contribution to the club. Aitchison on to Butchers, who's slippery as an eel and still going somehow.
No, we're all done now.
This more patient from Bristol as they find Murray and now Smith. 12, 13, 15. The youngster who signed from Edinburgh University over the summer has worn all of those jerseys over the summer, and taking names in the midfield is Hannah Bosserman. A fend like a piston and getting up gingerly is Sarah Beckett. She'll feel that in the morning. Something more delicate is issued by Aitchison, swerving a little bit and just grabbing an extra couple of yards. Keat. So many phases here from Bristol. Patient as you like. 13. This the 14th. What can they do with it? Carrying there is Byrne.
Now hands away. You're off your feet.
We saw in the semi-final that Gloucester Hartpury were able to absorb Exeter Chiefs attacking pressure for 14 straight minutes at one stage. They're very happy, just reloading defensively, stopping teams from coming around the corner. They will soak this up for as long as is required. Just poking, probing. Now Aitchison wending her way upfield. They're not going anywhere particularly, guys.
They're not going anywhere particularly, and you think they're building something, but you can just see this Gloucester defence. They're holding really strong, and you can see the likes of Neve Jones, Beth Ann Lewis. They're just waiting for an opportunity to pounce at a breakdown.
Sam Monaghan is down in the backfield, clutching her knee, which will be of serious concern to Gloucester Hartpury. And Bears now attacking with a player advantage as Butchers shoves off the inroads of Hendy. Monaghan still down, looks in some distress. Bouncing ball gathered by Aitchison. We've had the Great Britain team named for the Olympics in the week on the women's side. Aitchison was out in Tokyo plying her trade in the sevens game, but she loves the 15s format. Oh, and look, the ball's with Gallagher. Out now to Keat. George looking to chase back, make the covering tackle. And Bristol Bears are a team who love possession. They are never happier than when they have their hands on the ball, so it's only fitting that on the biggest stage of them all, they rack up the highest face tally of the season so far and finish it with a try in the final on her 50th appearance for Courtney Keat.
If you ever need an example of how Bristol Bears play, that is it, isn't it? It looks a bit loose, it looks like they're not going anywhere, and then all of a sudden they get a moment, they get a gap, they get defenders on the edge. Emma Singh went really hard, flew past, and that's what a team like Bristol are looking for. They're looking for a weak moment, a bad decision, and then when you've got the pace and the accuracy of their outside backs, Meryl Smith out there, Courtney Keat couldn't get an easier run in on her 50th.
Yeah, it's a brilliantly well-constructed try. They have to go through so many phases. When we get an opportunity, you have to have a little look back at Zamba just pulls that on the near side. You're exactly right, Katie. It's the defensive reads that happen when you've been put through that much work, that much stress. Sarah Beckett's the first one who flies out to try and make a big hit. Then Emma Singh comes to try and make a big hit. And that is not Gloucester's DNA in terms of how they defend, but that's what Bristol do to you. They wear you down, they tire you out, and then you have to make poor decisions under stress.
23 phases they just strung together, breaking their own record of 22 against Saracens in the semi-final. It is something that comes under criticism sometimes, the way that they play the game, but in that moment there, peach perfect.
Yeah, like we talked about, we said sometimes you can go away from your DNA, and I don't...
Year in 2022, their co-captain at the moment, Anna Fulcrum of the side, leaving the field. She'll be a real loss.
She really will, and we really hope that it's nothing serious. I think obviously someone like Sam Monaghan doesn't go down easily like that, so it's really sad in a final. But you know, Gloucester are full of quality. I think they're going to bring Kate Williams on, and a girl who's gone so well, very much a replica of Sam Monaghan, just gets through, does a lot of work, a lot of hard graft, and all that unseen stuff.
Almost a quarter gone of the 2024 Premiership final. Courtney Keats, unconverted try, the only score so far, but my word, hasn't it been thick with action and intrigue? Speaking of action, it's the all-action number 8, Master Mulhern, who finds herself isolated on the floor there, and a turnover for young Georgia Brock.
Exactly what they will have wanted. They've just seen one of their big players leave the field. They've just gone down. First time in the final. Georgia Brock, what she was doing again, all in that semi-final. She's so good over the ball, and just you know, don't know if it's an early warning sign at 18 minutes, but an early warning sign to Bristol that actually, if you're not supporting your players, it doesn't matter where you're playing from, there's a potential threat you're going to lose that ball.
Her and Bethan Lewis have been outstanding for Gloucester at that. Their timing and their partnership has been absolutely phenomenal, and I'm not sure they necessarily get the applause that the pair of those players deserve.
Well, 4 breakdown steals between the pair of them in the semi-final against Exeter Chiefs. They are absolute nuisances to play against. Well, we've lost one world-class Irish woman, but it's another one throwing that line out. One that she'd like to have another go at, Niamh Jones.
It's the one area of the Gloucester attacking game that sometimes wobbles. You know, they don't have the best line-out stats in the league, considering how prolific they are as a whole team, table toppers. And it's that one area that Bristol will go hard after. They'll double pod, they'll go up at the front, they'll make you throw over the top of them.
Psychologically, how unnerving is it coming up against line-out gurus like an Abby Ward and Alicia Butchers? There are such operators amongst that Bristol pack that must put a seed of doubt in the mind of Niamh Jones, particularly on an occasion like today.
I think she's too good of an operator, a good international all-round, that, you know, she'll see that as a real exciting opportunity. You have to flip it like that, don't you? Otherwise it does get in your head, and maybe we'll see it the next line out, how that kind of continues to develop, but you've got to see it as a contest.
Well, we know that Bristol Bears score a lot from a driving maul, but if they go 80 metres, we will be surprised. They've crabbed up about 5 of them there. Bevan now told to use it. It's away, and with Aitchison, and now we see another one of those tricksy little kicks up and over the top. It's gathered by Hannah Jones. Hunt thinks she spied a little opportunity, so just fixes and straightens, and now it's with Lewis, who can turn balls over, but she can carry with them too. 10 metres out. Bears disrupting at every opportunity, and it's Sarah Byrne on the return.
If you ever needed a moment to see how a player has returned from injury, from a knee injury particularly, that is the moment. How quickly and how confidently Sarah Byrne is over that ball, because that is your most vulnerable position, right? It's a great break, it's a lovely little spot, a lovely tip there. Like I said, Bethan Lewis, I think, has been absolutely outstanding for Gloucester. But how quickly Sarah Byrne gets back on her feet, back over the ball, chest nice and low. And when you're as strong as her, 2 Gloucester players aren't moving you.
It's a really interesting part of the game now for this Gloucester side. They're not used to being behind. They're not used to being under this much pressure. Even in that game that they lost to Saracens the back end of the season, I think they still scored first. They still were in the lead for large parts of the game. So it's a really interesting passage now for this group of players in terms of how they manage themselves.
Had a chat with Sean Lynn ahead of the game, and we talked about the fact that this side have had plenty their own way this season, but they also have had to problem solve, and perhaps no more than when they were here in round 5 at Sandy Park. It took a Mia Venner winner in the final few minutes to get the win over Chiefs. They were trailing heavily at Welford Road against Leicester Tigers at one point, and they also were level with Bristol Bears when they last met, 19 points apiece until the final 10 minutes. So you're dead right. They've had plenty of things their own way this season, but they have had to navigate some tricky patches. So they can draw upon all of that experience now.
Be interesting as well how they navigate this penalty count as well, because at the moment it's six penalties to Bristol, 1 to Gloucester. So it's tough, isn't it? Because you've got to change the views of the referee. And at the moment, I think for Gloucester, they're having moments, but it's just trying to join up all those moments to get a bit of sustained pressure.
And it's also just having that accountability, that one there from Hannah Jones. She's quite clearly on her forearms over the ball. There you can see the penalty count. It's overwhelmingly in Bristol's favour. But yeah, you've just got to have that individual accountability. When the stress is really on, still do all your basics, be onside.
Well, it's a hen's tooth there, a line out juggled and spilt by Abby Ward, so possession gifted back to the reigning champions, the table toppers, the pace setters. Hunt onto George, and a cute little infield pass there, just finding Jones. Hurt. When up against it, you need to draw upon the experience and the match-winning capabilities of your talismanic players, and you suspect that Hurd will be one of those who will rise to the fore as Smith just spills that high ball.
I think this is a really smart decision here from Cleaky George. Gloucester haven't been going anywhere. It's a really bright, sunny day. Just putting something to test Meryl Smith at the back. They haven't really tested her. And just a load of pressure. Like, it's a hard skill that when the sun's in your eyes, ball's coming down, just gives Gloucester a bit of field possession.
Yeah, and the previous kicks we've seen, they've been those long ones, haven't they, down this near side to Renika Bonner. She's got loads of time to catch it, loads of space to go and run into, which is obviously her strength. That one there, Cleaky, although she'll still probably say it was a little bit long, she's gone up in the air, she's gone, Mia Venner, go and get that back for me, go and chase, go and put pressure on. And as you say, Meryl Smith, we've not seen her as much in this 15 role perhaps throughout the season as consistently, so yeah, it's a great opportunity to go and challenge that.
And it comes back to that game of chess we were talking about at the beginning. It's almost like, right, we've tried this. Renika Bonner has been brilliant. She's had a lot of time. She's been running us back. OK, what do we do next? So we go somewhere else. We go test Meryl Smith. And for me, as a fly half, this is where you'd expect Cleaky George and Mo Hunt to go there again. She's just had an error. If you get another opportunity, go put another one and see what happens. And that's how you build momentum, you build pressure. And you kind of just keep control of that game.
Well, he talked about problem solving and navigating adversity pre-match. He also talked about winning the moment pre-game, Sean Lynn. And it's so essential, isn't it, to put positive upon positive. So this is such an opportunity for Gloucester Hartbury.
Set, steady.
Rock solid. Hunt told to use it. Hurd this time, first receiver, which means that George is floating about in the midfield, and now they get the ball to their conjurer, their sorcerer. She's well met, though, by her opposite number, Amber Reid, enacting the tackle there. Emma Singh popping up as distributor, and finding Kate Williams, who is on wearing 19, the young Welsh international, former North Harbour captain in New Zealand. That's some carry. Just tightening up the Bristol defensive line, and Singh thinks that she spies an opportunity, but doors slam shut on the far touchline. So back the other way they go.
No.
Carson's carry. Bristol just looking to slow that ruck. Ball down, a fabulous pass from Beckett. Offload, punch from Lewis, onto Hunt. And it's a captain's try when they needed it the most. The Circus' ringmaster splashing down beside the sticks and bringing the Shedheads who come all the way down the M5 to their feet.
It's a brilliant score, and those Gloucester fans love it. You can hear them down below us. They were Eoring about 10 minutes ago when someone dropped the ball. Now they're in full voice. And that's just Gloucester at their very, very best, moving the ball and get it all their own way. This ball from Cleaky George and that tip-on from Sarah Beckett is top draw. Again, that ability to just keep moving the ball, and then the inside pass from Beth Ann Lewis. Natasha Hearn forever trailing that line. That ball from Sarah Beckett is the one. Inside ball from Beth Ann Lewis. And Mo Hunt will be absolutely chuffed to bits. She's over the try line.
Honestly, Beth Ann Lewis is on fire. The tip is great, brilliant, but it's the line. She's always gambling on that front foot ball. And like you say, like all good nines, isn't it? Mo's in her pocket, just waiting for that 2-metre run in.
He'll be 32 by the end of the day.
50 by the end of the night.
Emma Singh. Metronomic language, lethal, slots another, adds to her tally. That is 142 and counting for the season for the young woman who grew up just up the road here in Devon. Converted try, Gloucester Hartbury hit the front.
You don't get extra points for it, but you just think of the two contrasting tries, how hard Bristol had to work, how many phases they had to go through, conversely with what Gloucester have just done. And as I say, you don't get extra points for it. It doesn't add anything to the game, but it's just the completely differing styles.
And all from a positive kick, wasn't it? Change the picture, force an error, and then you capitalise on set piece. And like Emily said, it's interesting, isn't it? Will this 60 minutes into this game be something we're talking about, energy expenditure?
Try scorer lashes that out onto George. It's punched up skyward volleyball style by Kira Bevan. That's the knock on. So Bears now getting their hands on the ball for a first time in a little while.
Yeah, and that'll be frustrating. If we get a camera on Sean Lynn, I'm sure he'll be a little frustrated with that. Brilliant restart take. Pod goes up. And then it's just that forcing it. Sarah Byrne flies out the line, just creates a little bit of chaos. And then it's just trying to force that ball through the middle of it. And in terms of how you want to get back into the game after just scoring, they probably put themselves under a bit of pressure now. He's not the most animated man, but he looks a little bit there, doesn't he?
More animated than you normally see him.
Got to say, he looked a lot more relaxed pre-game than Dave Ward, who is a very good coach, but not very good at poker, you suspect.
So contrasting, isn't it, the coaching styles? Sean Lynn, very, very level, don't see a lot of emotion. Dave Ward, you could probably watch a game by watching Dave.
He said that whatever happens, he will be crying at full time today. So let's keep that camera on him, please. Let's keep a Ward cam live at all times. In fact, we'll be speaking to him shortly. It'll be fascinating to get his thoughts. It's been low scoring, but it's been high entertaining. And speaking of entertainment, it's Martin Mulhern who tips it on to Rees, and on an incisive line was Phoebe Murray. Look at the head of steam that the young outside centres carried right into Gloucester Hartpury, who are bleeding penalties on the floor right now.
I think listening to the referee there, she's talking about Mulhern just pulling Kira Bevan back, and there are moments where we talk about positive on positive, where you don't want negative on negative. It's one that Gloucester needs to be aware of, because like we know, penalty counts really high, not in their favour. It just needs to be a bit smarter there.
I'm not giving either of you anything if you guess what's about to happen here.
Crossfield kick.
Mark Atkin-Davies, 13 tries for the season and counting. This is bread and butter stuff for Bristol Bears. More than half their tries come off line out, and it's an area that Gloucester Hartpury have struggled to defend, but they are driving them backwards here as Bosserman resets and adds what she can to this big blue steamroller. They're inside 5 metres, and now they get a second shove. Now Phoebe Murray gets involved. Every Bear piling in, powering in, closer and closer. But back will come for the penalty.
It's held up there. It held up there, and they took it over. I thought she was okay. I thought she got herself back behind that line. Changing behind number 2.
So we've come back for a penalty earlier on in that more.
You're disciplined down here, please.
But what a contest this is. I mean, stationary for so long. Gloucester really, they will have looked at this so much in the last 2 weeks. It's a mindset, but it's also technically and tactically, and then able to hold them up, but then coming back for another one.
I'll be feeling the loss of Sam Monaghan, though, defending these, and this time Bears get an initial shove that's a bit meatier and a bit more potent, and again the backs come flooding in. Renika Bonner is all by herself on this far touchline. They might not need her. Closer and closer. Down it comes, but is it all the way down? Yes, it is. Well, Bristol Bears have made history already this month, and they are hungry for some more here at Sandy Park. That's their second try. It's Lark Atkin-Davies, of course it is. And they hit the front yet again.
both tries are very much what we've associated with Bristol all year. You know, the 23 phases, going through all the motions. And then this one, that lady on your screen, who has just been she's just been on the reward end, hasn't she? Because we can't say she does it on her own. She has that pack that are in front of her. I think Amber Reid does a really good job as a fly half of coming in and sitting in front of her. I would argue I'm not sure she can slide up the front, but hey. But look, it's what we know Bristol are very good at. I think Gloucester were trying to get in behind, they were trying to stop the movement, but once the team gets going and gets that momentum, it's so hard to stop.
Yeah, mate, there's nothing clear and obvious to overturn you on field.
Well, it's another tricky touch line conversion being asked of Amber Reid. It doesn't quite have the mileage on it, but watching on, rather pleased, I suspect, is head coach of Bristol Bears, Dave Ward, and he's got the pleasure of having a chat with our very own Laura Jane Jones.
Yeah, very pleased, Claire, but he's very tense as well. Dave, it's been composure, composure, composure so far from Bristol Bears. How have you practiced that patience in the week?
Yeah, it doesn't feel like it from up here. Look, I think, look, we're going to stick to ourselves. We're going to play our process, which we've done all season. Sometimes it takes 5 phases, sometimes it takes 23. So for us, we've got to make sure we stick with it. We wait for our opportunity, and when we get one, you know, obviously we've got to take it.
How important is defence now? Is it about keeping scoring tries against a side like Gloucester Hartpury?
Yeah, it's massive. You've seen their line breaks already. They've made 2 or 3 through Bethan and Mo. Look, we've got to be clever about that as well. We can't dive out in 1s and 2s and try and solve problems on our own. We don't need to. But obviously, we don't want them to get too much ground as well. So we've got to get some line speed. Look, it's going to be tricky, especially in this heat. But we're here to play rugby.
Cheers, Dave. Good luck for the rest.
Thank you.
Well, charging up the touchline there, Evie Gallagher. Bears player of the season, a signing who has surpassed all expectations, Dave Ward said in the week, but she's been stripped there. Bulls with the cherry and whites looking to respond immediately to falling back behind. Beckett on the pirouette, looking to just lay that back on a plate for George, who spotted a bit of open space, and that is a peach of a kick.
It's what you need, isn't it? Like, when you've been under the pump, you've just conceded, you need somebody who's going to say, look, we're going to go get into your 22 and we're going to go play there. We're not going to mill around in the middle of the field. And I think that's what this lady does so well for Gloucester Hartpury. She just plays that percentage, you know, it's gone off a little bit, the ball's gone to the floor, gets her head up, sees that wingers come high, and just a really good execution of a kick there. You see, she's seen it really early, and it's pinpoint, isn't it? It doesn't get any better than when it drops in the 5, rolls out into touch. Emily Scarrett would be proud.
It all came initially, didn't it, from that turnover. I think it was Georgia Brock on this near side again. Oh, Kate Williams was it? Yeah, Kate Williams, sorry. Got her head straight over that breakdown, stealing ball. The battle at the breakdown is so important at the moment. Both sides wanting to play so much. Both sides got such a threat on the defensive side in terms of jackal turnovers.
Well, it's going to go the full 80 this one, you suspect. The replacements will be so important. Williams being called upon much sooner than she might have expected as she plays in her first Premiership final. Well, it's a first final for so many of these Bears, but they look right at home on this big stage. Another breakdown decision goes their way as Mackenzie Carson jogs off with a shake of the head.
Just where they are there.
Just those cheap penalties again from Gloucester, though, isn't it? It's just allowing Bristol to exit, and then you've gone through all that phases, you've got some momentum, you've worked yourself into a good position, and then you're just giving cheap possession back.
Yeah, and Sarah Cox there just having a little word. Penalty count this first half. Doesn't matter where they are on the field, if you're racking them up that often, that consistently, you could get yourself in a bit more trouble. So really important Gloucester pull themselves together now.
Well, it's something that Saracens, the 3-time champions, felt keenly, conceding 18 against Bristol Bears as they found themselves the first home side to ever lose a semi-final in this competition, an unhappy record that they went and set, discipline costing them dearly. Bears now with some front foot ball as Reid wearing 10 finds Ronita Marston, Mulhern wearing 8, pulled up trees against the Wolfpack.
How many times have we seen that battle in the middle? Marston Mulhern and Sarah Beckett just absolutely flying into each other.
she's just a force of nature, the number 8. More carries than anyone else in the league, 2 seasons in a row now. She's also got the most accurate pass in the PWR, I read this week, 98%, more than anyone else.
Is that because there's about 4 passes and
209
carries?
You've actually cracked it, I bet that's what it is. But she kicks the ball out to scenes of jubilation. There she is now, before giving the interview of the season to Ugo. Gallagher finding Bonner on the right wing, beats Singh, but Hurd is there to make the tackle, as she did all day long against Chiefs. 24 shots in the midfield from the centre, barreled backwards. Master Mahern met by a combination of Muir and Brock, so potent, so granity. Gallagher with the footwork into contact. She always manages to wrong foot a defender, at least by a half step. Now this is Ward. Bristol, as is their way, ensuring that everyone gets plenty of touches, plenty of involvement. It's a strong, thundering charge from Reid, the co-captain.
No more, no. There's no clear release.
Aitchison this time pops up first and finds Bosserman wearing 1 this week rather than 3. And so at home at Tighthead, 80 minutes played in that semi-final. Murray now had options to her left, but opted to dart back infield. Atkin-Davies, try scorer, screaming for it, carries hard. Bears leading by just the 3 points. Those 2 unconverted tries, hunting for a third. A woman who knows a thing or 2 about tries is Bonner. Hendy had hold of her hair there. They might well come back to look at that one, but she got the job done, and Bears now on the cusp of the 22, and with so many numbers in the midfield. Bosserman heading hard, gets the ball away to Atkin-Davies. A desperate tackle being made there. Had to be, but they're 10 metres out, searching for a 3rd score in their first ever Premiership final. Pirouette, pop-up from Smith to Keats. Flirting with the touchline, flirting with danger. Nothing flirtatious about that from Byrne. That was direct.
No, let go!
Blades of Devonshire Grass, the difference now, as Bristol hunt for another score as half-time looms large at Sandy Park. Gloucester Hartbury told to get mitts off it. The heavies lining up, desperate to get hands on the ball. Bosserman, who scored in a final back in 2018 and scores again in one in 2024. There is a coup brewing in the West Country. Bristol Bears fancy tearing up the form book and dethroning the Cherry and White. Their 3rd score.
Very clinical from Bears, wasn't it? We talk about this multiple phases that they're quite happy to go through, and there, I think for me, was just really smart play. They got close to the line, quite happy just to say, look, give us the ball, we're going to do it. You know, it's a little tip on here. I don't know if they'll go back and look at that handshake, maybe forward, but here, forwards just go to work. Sarah Byrne really close on that first one, and it's just their tight carries, you know, when you've got the likes of Lark in there, Hannah Bottoman, you've got some of the best carriers of the game.
You happy, Nick?
It's a brilliant finish
Yeah,
in the
mate,
end.
there's no clear
But the
separation
build-up
on any
play.
of the angles I've seen so far.
Yeah, perfect. And I've got a race to the line as well.
Yeah, Nikki O'Donnell just confirming that try is good. The build-up play, the ability now, for me, they've got a bit more balance than they had first off in this game. They're using those big ball carriers through the middle a little bit, earning that right, being really patient. And then the thing that Gloucester have got to be really careful of is they're getting them on the edges, they're getting really narrow. Either they're not closing from the backfield or the wingers are turning in. So whether it's a width thing, a work rate thing, but this is what the Bristol attack does. It wears you down. When it's on its very, very best, it goes through phases, 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 and it wears you down.
20 phases, and that woman there finishing off the 20th with one of the most important tries of what has been an illustrious career today. All the Red Roses accolades, sure, but Hannah Bottoman has won 3 Premiership titles already with Saracens. She'd go out on her own if she won today, and found herself with a winner's medal around her neck with a bear on her jersey. Seconds remaining of the first half, 3 tries leading 1. Reid, fresh from kicking that conversion, goes for the deft little out the back door, but it's knocked on, which means that there's a scrum coming the way of Gloucester Hartbury.
Good call, Harry.
A Bristol Bears playing the best rugby we've seen from them all season, or are Gloucester Hartpury struggling to find a foothold in this game?
Just a knock on. Came off your
Great
wheel
question,
first.
isn't it?
Just
I think
before the time
Bristol
was up.
have been very accurate. You know, you look at some of their results this season, when it hasn't gone to the script, it's probably because Bristol have been inaccurate ball in hand. And I think what's happening today and what we're seeing from this Bristol side is they're being much more accurate with possession, better with it, quite happy to go through their phases. I think you would argue from a Gloucester perspective, they probably aren't at the speed they have been playing at previously.
Yeah, it's definitely a little bit of both. And again, we keep coming back to that penalty count, but when you're on the wrong side of it so emphatically, it's so hard to get any foothold in the game properly. And they've just not had, you know, the same possession that Bristol have had with the ball. They've been accurate in that one occasion they've had it, but other than that, it's been really, really hard for them to have proper attacking ball.
Bind! Set!
The clock's in the red, but it's all about the women in blue. And Master Mulhern, as she did at full time against Saracens a fortnight ago, thrashes that into the stands here at Sands, adding to her try tally in the first half. Said in the week that early on this season, she told a couple of journalists that she thought that this was the year Bristol Bears would do it. This was the year they would win the Premiership. And she was so abashed by that she went and found Dave Ward afterwards and apologised and said, "I'm sorry I spoke it into existence. I don't know whether or not I should have said that." Well, this week, she said that things feel good. They truly believe that they can win it. And now, leading by 10 points, their fate is in their own hands. Mia Vanna just skimming past Holly Aitchison on the counter. A form of attack that Gloucester Hartpury loves so much, and eventually finding the ball with Maud Muir. George onto Hurd. Gloucester Hartpury putting real width on this. How about the fend from Emma Singh? She's known for being evasive and ghosting past defenders, but she can sock them too. And Bristol concede just their second penalty of the match.
And we saw there in that opening phase a bit more of the Gloucester that we know. Speed of ball, it breakdown, moving it to the edge, good, strong carries in those wide channels. And that's going to be key for Gloucester to build themselves back into the game. It's also going to be interesting because there is a bit of a breeze like you talked about, and it is now at Gloucester's back. This is the fend here from Emma Singh, you know, drives in, doesn't give it to Pip Hendy, just says, look, here, I'm going to carry, come and look after me, and it's a good, solid fend.
She has responded to not receiving a Red Roses contract for the next 12 months absolutely brilliantly.
Yeah, I mean, it's such tough news to hear at her age. You know, she's so young to have had one and then have it taken away from you. It's really, really tough. But from speaking to the Gloucester girls, she's just tried to put her head down. You know, probably wasn't open to talking about it to start with, but has then slowly started to just, you know, allow some experience in. Mo Hunt, obviously not selected for a World Cup. This experience that she can offer in those really tough situations will be invaluable.
While throwing on her own 22, Atkin Davies really stuck it all on blue there. A high and arcing line out gathered, snagged by a bare paw and brought down onto Devonshire grass. And now they start to creep forwards, and now they win a penalty. The reigning champions' 10th of the game with just 42 minutes played.
They're on a... Yes, they are. Not just for that, but in general, okay?
Abby Ward in the ear of Sarah Cox there, isn't she? Good leadership there, just making sure Sarah Cox is aware of what's happening, what the situation is, reminding her. And a really good kick, this.
Just such an easy way to relieve pressure, isn't it? Come straight after half-time. Gloucester have looked a bit more lively. And you can go to the maul, get an easy pen, brilliant kick down the touchline. You're now well back in the Gloucester half with an attacking opportunity.
Well, it's for things more exciting than kicks to touch that they brought Holly Aitchison from Saracens to Bristol last summer. But kicks like that don't half help, because Atkin Davies, taking her second line out in a matter of minutes, is now able to join the back of the maul, which is nipping at the cusp of the Gloucester Hartpury 22. Tries from Keat, Atkin Davies and Bottoman in that first half. Bristol Bears in their first Premiership final. The first Bristol side, men or women, to achieve that. Took her time, finding Bevan on the wraparound there. Did Aitchison, and Reid would absolutely love another go at that kick. I think we'll consign that one to the rubbish pile. Hunt through the hands now of the midfielders, and now this is Pip Hendy, 21 years old, but to the manor born, trucking it up right before our commentary gantry. We have been spoilt rotten by the entertainment levels of this final. Ball knocked on by Mo Hunt, but not before she draws the penalty, takes it quickly. This is the circus in full effect. Pin-wheeling foot to the floor rugby, and Hurd with a scamper and a stutter and a swerve and a straighten. Hunt now, such swift service from the Red Roses scrum half, and now this is Venner, who has scored match-winning tries before at Sandy Park. Williams with the carry. Next to make hay, is back in on an incisive line. What a tackle. Grabbed by just an ankle by Marston Mulhern there, had to be stopped. Because Sarah Byrne doesn't carry, she erupts. Now this is Jones on to Singh, there's an overlap, but it didn't go. Singh has got to make this count because Hendy was wide open and unmarked. The pick and go. And Gloucester Harbury respond right as they had to at the start of the second half, and are giving themselves a mighty foothold back in this final through one of their stars, Beth Ann Lewis.
They seemed to make a little bit of hard work of it in the end, didn't they? But thoroughly deserved. They've come out second half, rejuvenate, re-energised. It's a brilliant, brilliant team try. It all starts from that Mo Hunt tap. That line from Sarah Beckett, so flat, the pass. And then again, that ball from Claky George, just the width that they're able to play with. This is where you drive square, give the pass, drive square, give the pass. She does it on that occasion. Hey, look, she fights really hard to recycle. And then Beth Ann Lewis, that pick and go.
Well, Nikki O'Donnell, our TMO, is just checking this.
Yeah, Coxie, I'm just checking an angle that it may be held up if you've got, but it's not conclusive.
Okay, if it's not conclusive, both myself and Polly have got the ball on the line, okay? It then goes, as we had it, someone gets to then underneath it.
Very clear there.
Yeah, I'm just checking one more angle,
From
Coxie.
Sarah Cox. We're just checking one more angle up in the truck. Did Lewis get that down, or did Meryl Smith manage to hold it up?
I think that's down. Like, if you think about the size of the hand and the size of the
Coxie,
ball.
can we just check this, mate?
Right,
So, Coxie, I'm going to show you the Bristol 15 with her hand clearly under the ball before the Gloucester player reaches the line.
Nikki, this needs to be absolutely conclusive that the ball hasn't touched, because both myself and Holly, live, have the ball that touches, and so that's why we've given the try, okay?
Yes, mate.
So go on, roll that through.
Well, the slenderest of margins can decide the biggest of occasions.
Coxie, this is the best angle they've got, with the Bristol 15's hand clearly underneath the ball.
Nikki, at the moment, we don't have that conclusive. So you're saying that conclusively, that ball has a hand underneath and it is held up, yeah? Because live here at the moment, we don't see that.
I would agree with Sarah
So
Cox
just
on
going to show
that.
the reverse angle that has the Gloucester players and the Bristol players' hands underneath the ball. So on both of these angles, Coxie, the ball does not touch the white paint on the ground. There are Gloucester and Bristol player hands underneath the ball.
Okay, so you're saying no try, and we get
Yes,
held
mate.
up, and it'll goal line drop out to Bristol. You
Correct.
conclusively have that ball held up by that Bristol player, therefore we go back and we say no try, yeah?
Yes, mate, the reverse angle has Gloucester and Bristol hands below, and there is no clear angle to show the ball on the line.
Well, Nikki O'Donnell says the reverse angle shows it conclusively. I'm not sure it's one that we completely saw. I just think Sarah Cox is exactly right. It has to be completely compelling in order to overturn it. And from what we saw, I'm not sure about it, but Nikki O'Donnell is convinced maybe she had another angle that we weren't able to see.
Well, what will be absolutely fascinating now will be to get the thoughts of Sean Lynn, head coach of Gloucester Hartpury. He's alongside Laura Jane Jones, right behind where that try was supposedly not scored.
You know, we just got to concentrate on this next 33 minutes.
How important is it for your team that you're the next on the score sheet?
Yeah, it is important, you know. I think Bristol had real good momentum into that. It's a shame about our discipline that first half, but we've got to try and build this momentum with it now.
How much has that been the key issue at half-time? The discipline does seem to be a problem for the side.
Yeah, it definitely was, you know, and that was the big message. It's the message all week, really. You know, how disciplined Bristol are in their attack play, but we needed to be disciplined in our defence, and we just weren't.
10 points isn't insurmountable, but where do your scores come from now?
Yeah, look, I just think it's making sure that we can keep the ball a lot more. Bristol are very good at keeping it, but when we get that ball, let's put them under pressure.
Lenny, I'll let you go. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Well, Laura Jane Jones in her sunglasses looking pretty cool here at Costa del Sandy Park, but cooler still was Sean Lynn, so pragmatic, so unflappable, and so confident that little by little, chipping and chiselling away at momentum, Gloucester Hartpury are very much still in this.
Of course they are, and he'll completely back his side the whole way. Just thinking, the only way you can almost tell conclusively, you always need like a heat map, don't you, in order to touch the ground, which obviously we don't have the opportunity for. But really fascinating now. Gloucester's line-out is not working well for them. We saw Mo Hunt quick tap. I think we'll see lots more of that on potential penalties. Quick line-outs if they're possible, because they've got to find a way to keep hold of this ball.
Elle Perry is on lifting duties. She's on, replacing Mackenzie Carson. Bristol with ball to play with. They've turned over 2 Gloucester Hartpury lineouts now, back to back, as Pam gets her paws on the ball for the first time in this match. She's such a barnstorming, destructive carrier. Puts that athletics background to good use every time she gets the opportunity. But now it's possession ping pong. Ball back with Gloucester Hartpury, and Sarah Beckett takes matters into her own hands. Thumping off a couple of blue jerseys. Here now is Aldcroft, gets the offload away onto Perry, wearing that scrum cap. Baby Burt, no doubt, watching on in the stands. Lovely hands from Williams, but she's wrapped up by her Welsh teammate Butchers, and the ball skittles onto Maudmuir. This now, Mia Venner thinks that she's spied a window of opportunity. Heads back in field, away from the danger of the touchline, and 2021's World Player of the Year, Zoe Aldcroft, has a tilt. George flashes you like to Beckett, bounce pass, gathers by Singh, who stops and goes slaloming Bears through the midfield. The ball squirts up, it's gathered by Hurd. It's helter-skelter, wacky racist stuff, rugby befitting of a final. Calling for the ball is Maudmuir. She scored in the semi-final. Can she do so again now when the stakes are higher still? Flat pass onto Aldcroft. Hunt swiftly to the breakdown. She's got George, who heads back in towards the post, met by Pam and slammed back down. Bristol Bears have put together so many phases in Hunt of their 3 tries so far. Gloucester Hartpury now meeting them with the endeavour, the effort. Bodies on the line as they go again and again with these patient, repeated efforts. It's rugby by erosion. Mia Venner open on the wing, but the ball not given. Hunt now on the spin, held up.
Stolen.
Ball stolen, and the opportunity amounts to nothing. As an implacable Sean Lynn watches on from the shadow of the posts. Bears have the stingiest defence in the Premiership, and it is proving as measly and as watertight as ever today. Amber Reid is back in the pocket, but they'll allow Marston Mulhern, the carry bots, to go again and just earn themselves an extra couple of yards.
It's a good count.
Don't get me wrong, Bristol's defence is absolutely phenomenal, but when Gloucester keep making the basic decisions and taking the wrong option, that is going to give them problems. But here, get a decision from Sarah Cox, 5 metres out, Bristol overplayed, probably should have just got rid of it, sent it off the pitch. Reward yourself for that defensive set. Big opportunity here for Gloucester, and they have to take some points.
I'll tell you what, there's two pretty much like walk-ins, is that probably maybe a bit harsh to say? Walk-ins on the edge that Gloucester have missed. There's one from Emma Singh a bit further down on that far side, inside ball to Mo. There's another one here. Hannah Jones doesn't release the pass to the outside. And that's what pressure does to you. You know, it plants seeds constantly in your mind. But this will be really fascinating now to see what Gloucester do. They have not won their last 2 or 3 line-outs. Do they tap and go? Do they call a scrum? Do they kick to the line-out?
Yeah, if you want a penalty.
I think this is the one you're talking about here, Skazzy. Does the dumb kind of pumps, think she's got the outside edge, but that's again, like you said, chase them shoulders, run straight, let the ball do the work. Mo Hunt there, not a picking and going option when you're the size of Mo 5 metres out.
The desire, though, from that Bristol pairs defence was something else. You know, they're protecting their try line like it is the most important thing in the world. And to be fair, it probably is the most important thing in the world to them right now.
Venner behind the cherry and white pack as the Gloucester faithful, bringing the roar that Sean In has urged them to this week, start to make themselves heard. Hunt has got Lewis to her left. She's also got Williams, and it's Williams that she finds. 2 Welsh warriors in tandem. Now Perry, 5 metres out. They need to make the right decisions this time. They need to make this count. Singh, this time by Pendy. And the reigning champions pry themselves off the canvas to land a mammoth blow in this final. We're into the last half an hour, and one of their youngsters, their fearless youngsters, Pip Hendy, has brought them straight back into things.
Simplicity in our game is and always will be king, and that is the perfect example of it. Really strong, stable scrum, get the ball out. Zoe Oldcroft has a go. Then it's just numbers around the corner again, really physical, combative at the line, and then they've just shortened them up. That ball from Claky George is awesome, and it's just the simple pass, and Pip Hendy is flying into the corner. Still got a little bit of work to do, but that's how simple it can be for this Gloucester side.
Tries good.
Such a good pass from Claky George there, but for me it was Gloucester's speed. We've seen them do it all year. We haven't seen a lot of it today. Speed of breakdown, Mo Hunt looking like her normal self at the ball. Ball's there, ball's gone, forwards around the corner. For for Gloucester to really kind of kick on now, we need to see more of that.
Emma Singh, full-back in the team of the Premiership season for the last 2 years running. And the leading point scorer for 2024, this a real tester. ...142... Make that 144 sweetly struck as you like. Emma Singh on song, and Pip Hendy making it tries in a Premiership semi-final and a final. A university student on this stage.
Oh, it's amazing. I mean, the experience that she's getting right now is ridiculous. And playing in a side like this Gloucester Hartpury side would be so invaluable for her. But that conversion kick from Emma Singh, that puts them at 2 converted tries. Bristol have missed 2 of theirs. Let's not get too ahead of ourselves, but in obviously a very tight game, things like that can make huge differences.
It also kind of makes amends for them 2 and 1s that she should have given 5 minutes earlier.
Tackle!
It was Mia Venner quickest to react from that spilt restart, and Gloucester Hartpury looking to turn the screw now. 3 points in it, 25 minutes to decide our Premiership champions for 2024. Yeah, with the little tip onto Lewis. George puts a spiral into wide open territory, and this time Smith makes no mistake. Head up, thinks that running is the correct option. They won't have felt it as she hurtles over the top of that tackle. Tatiana Hurd with the shot, and then the celebration after the breakdown goes the way of the champs.
What a turnover that is. The tackle from Tatiana Hurd is unbelievable in that kick chase, but the whole phase of play, the identification of space initially from Cleaky George, Mia Venner, Tatiana Hurd chasing up Sarah Beckett as well, that tackle, and then the speed of Kate Williams over it, stays in the contest, does not get pushed off from that first body, and we are seeing a little momentum shift in this game.
Aren't we just?
Tatiana Hurd is someone where you look at her stats over the course of the season and nothing leaps off the page for you, but her impact is almost unquantifiable. She's so essential.
Oh, she's crucial to this side. You know, she's a centre that is a former back rower, I think, so her contact skills are so good. But yeah, she's a crucial cog in this Gloucester side.
Co-captain to co-captain, Hunt onto Aldcroft, and so quickly rummaging for that and allowing Lewis to do what she can through contact. Now Singh with the ball, charging over the whitewash and getting it down, and Gloucester Hartbury are leading once more in this enthralling Premiership final. Sandy Park is entranced.
It's everything you wanted, isn't it, from a Premiership final? We wanted the competition. Bristol brought it first half, and then Gloucester, who we know. You don't just lose 3 games in 2 seasons, do you? And you're going to roll over and let that be. And you look at this try again for me. Gloucester at their best. Ball speed from Mo Hunt was phenomenal. That little tip from Cleaky George there. Emma Singh again, I think, probably could have given that. But watch this little tip on from Cleaky George. At the line, little basketball, and it is a great ball. Good finish, Emma Singh.
Because you can pick the ball up, but then when you let go and start pushing people, there's not much you can do, right?
It's really interesting. Zoe Aldcroft's the one there, the co-captain's talking to the referee, Sarah Cox, about the action that Mo wants to do. She's obviously realised perhaps she's not getting everything she wants at the moment, but they were speaking about exactly what we've just spoken about. They want to go quick, they want a quick tap. The line-out isn't quite functioning for them at the moment, but we've seen when they do have possession how deadly they can be.
Puff of the cheeks, a flex of the calves. It's a lengthy, bigger-esque kick routine that Emma Singh has up her sleeve. But it worked a treat the last time out. This to grow the gap further. Emma Singh is a big-time pedigree player, oozing class off the tee, slots the conversion right from that touchline, and 21 plays 17.
2 absolutely huge conversions. So Katie and I stand up here as 2 goal kickers as well, and they are massive kicks on the biggest occasion, on the toughest of angles. Really big conversions from Emma Singh.
11 points and counting for the fullback in this Premiership final. She's softly spoken, but her rugby speaks absolute volumes. And here she goes again. Who put 50p in Emma Singh at half-time? Carrying hard on an arcing line. Pulling up trees. Demanding that John Mitchell sit up and take notice. And she has hauled Gloucester Hartbury, the circus, back into this final as they look to go back to back. George sends another wicked spiral over the top of Renika Bonner. The bounce is kind to the right winger, and off she sets on one of those Renika Bonner runs. Momentum is queen in this game, and one of the queens of Queensholme sets off quickly. Hunt finds Lewis, finds Aldcroft. Some of the handling from Sean Lynn's side has been divine. They're 10 metres out. Feet on the throats of Bristol Bears here. Could this be the moment? Right before the posts. Zoe Aldcroft getting married on Friday next week. What a way this would be to set the tone. What a way this would be to set the tone. Well, they weren't down on the ropes, they weren't down on the canvas, but Gloucester Hartbury were down on the scoreboard, and they have prized themselves off it and dealt a body blow to a Bristol Bears side who were so full of confidence. We're going to check the final pass, but Mia Venner might just have scored their 4th try in this final.
Such a smart decision, though, by Claykie George, isn't it? She's identified Whittaker Forest, gone into no man's land, puts it over, turns it, hits grass, and then this chase again, isn't it? Great shot, and it's Pip Hendy, I think, and Elle Perry over the ball. Such a crucial turnover, and then all the motion that comes from it. Great pass by Claykie George.
Yeah, that's fine for me. Motion's taken her forwards. It has to be. It's a brilliant score from Gloucester. It's one of those, if you draw a line on the pitch, he's gone forward. But I think that's absolutely fine. It's a brilliant score.
Yeah, we're good here, mate.
And we have just seen in this second half, the momentum of penalties has swapped, the momentum of possession has swapped, the momentum of, you know, going forward and scoring tries has swapped. And Gloucester Hartbury are looking at their very, very best at the moment. Three tries in 7 minutes for Gloucester Hartbury, which is a pretty ridiculous stat in any part of the season against any side, let alone in a final. But what a fascinating period now for this Bristol team.
It's huge, isn't it? Because you talk about momentum, and you called it in your 7 minutes ago to say that that momentum had swung. How now do Bristol get themselves back into the game? So the first thing they need to do, they need to get possession. That's going to be huge. You know, Emma Singh adds another couple, just keeps that scoreboard building, and that's what Bristol have to be really, really aware of now. You have to chase the score. You've got 17 minutes, so there's more than enough time, but you need to make sure the next moment is you. And I think Claykie George, we haven't seen her for probably 54 minutes. In the last 7 minutes, here she is.
Holly Cunningham is on for Bristol Bears. So Dave Ward reaching into his box of tricks and pulling out an England under-20 look forward. There's a little bit of luck. Amber Reid and Courtney Keat combining to ensure they reclaim the restart. But look at the counter rocking from Gloucester Hartbury. That's why they're champions. A big turnover. They're leading by 11 points now. Hannah Bosserman has also left us, which means that Eliane Clark, the Scottish prop, is on for the first-time finalists. And there's a completely different feel to the stands here now. There is relish and confidence in the roars of the Gloucester Hartbury fans as Muir tips it on to Beckett, who's so full of confidence that she gives it a kick herself. Walloped back by Smith, who chases her own. It's with George. Now Singh, 13 points for the fullback. Eyes alight as she heads towards Marston Mulhern. If Bears are a team who like to keep hold of the ball, we have not seen that in quite some time. Mark called by Bevan takes the sting out of things.
I think it's a really good call, but it's a really interesting call, isn't it? I think it just shows that Bristol feel under pressure, and they are under pressure. Ooh. And it won't be a kick that she'll want to have a look at again. Potentially cramping up after it. There's no worse feeling than cramping up after you've kicked a ball.
Aldcroft leading from the front, as she always does. And now the switch from George onto Tatiana Hurd, who accelerated as though fired from a cannon. Now Singh, she's got Keat for company, she's got Butchers for company, but she's still going. Emma Singh, a woman possessed at Sandy Park for the last half an hour. Young Georgia Brock making some hay and ducking low. All 6 foot of her is our bride-to-be Aldcroft. Hunt finding Muir, who just bats off a bear. Inside 5 metres now. Back the other way they go. It's a tricky bouncing ball for Vedder. Fingertip stuff. Hannah Jones. The tide has turned and it's a cherry and white tsunami crashing on the shores here in Exeter. The reigning champions looking every inch that.
Well, it all starts from them taking a quick line out on the far side. They just, Beth Ann Lewis turns, they hit her. They know that part of the game isn't going well at the moment, and it's so smart. Find a different way. Quick tap, find a different way. And then this is it, the close quarter stuff again. It's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but sometimes a bouncing ball is the very worst and hardest thing to possibly defend. Everybody loses sight of it. And again, Gloucester just got too many numbers on the outside.
Well, with Emma Singh's conversion to come, it's been a 24-0 second half. Just to make it 26-0 in the second passage of play. Well, it will remain 24-0, but what a turnaround. 12 minutes left to play, and responding to that, changes being made by Dave Ward. Kira Bevan is off, which means that Lucy Burgess, the squad's Allianz Cup captain, has entered the fray. And Gabriella Negrelli, the England under-20, is also on to replace Marston Mulhern, which might raise some eyebrows.
It might, but Negrelli went so well against Saracens in the semi-final 2 weekends ago. Probably like for like, very good ball carrier, very physical, and you know, Marston Mulhern's gone very well, but she has probably been a bit quieter than we've known from her in this second half.
Dave Ward, Abby Ward, Lark Atkin-Davies, so many individuals from inside Bears camp were at pains to stress in the week that Saracens game wasn't their final. It was just their semi-final. But everything. Oh, well, back we come for that.
I thought it was going to be symptomatic of how things have gone for Gloucester in this second half, and it was going to have been a blade of grass infield, but turns out hit the chalk first. We'll see it again here. It's a really tight one. Yeah, it's on the line. I reckon that's on the line. Katie's looking at me a bit funny. I reckon that's on the line. It was taken back. Therefore, Bristol have an opportunity. You've got to remember, any little bit, any nick on that whitewash, it's out. I wish you could see Katie rolling her eyes at me right now.
Atkin-Davies with the throw, and then the wraparound, and finding on her shoulder Reed, who straightened so swiftly to that was Burgess. And now Gallagher carrying like a demon into the 22. Abby Ward, fingertip stuff from Aitchison. Murray just can't connect. Bonner does brilliantly to keep that in field. She's clattered, a couple of ribs rearranged for her efforts, but the ball stays blue. They're going backwards. They've retreated since the line out, and they need to score and score fast if they're to keep even a claw on the handles of that PWR trophy, which looks like it might just be staying at Queensholme. What a second half this has been. Reed straightens, fixes the defender through the hands of Murray and on to Smith. Burgess wants it. Ward with Pam in over the ball, ensuring that it can be lashed out, and then Reed on to Atkin-Davies, pass over the shoulder of Eliane Clark, back from that concussion sustained against Harlequins to play her part in her first Premiership final, in her first Premiership season. Cunningham, one of the mainstays of this Bristol side. Clark again over the top of Williams, just putting a little dent in a Gloucester Hartbury defensive line, which has proven so formidable in this second half. Aitchison decides to go it alone, gets the one-handed offload away, and Pam is on hand to scoop it up. It has been such one-way traffic this second half, but finally Bears starting to string a few little pieces together. Bonner finds herself in a right cuddle with a pair of circus performers. Stays in field somehow, and back down the short side they go, just peppering that blind side Bristol.
A couple of big defensive efforts from Emma Singh as well on that far side, closing the gate, really putting her body on the line, both sides of the ball at the moment.
Running out of time, the clock, their worst enemy right about now, as beating a couple is Cunningham. Maud Muir, who has had the most sensational season for club and country, making a right mess at the breakdown there, and then Mia Venner with the disdainful throw of Evie Gallagher affects the turnover.
It's arguably the first proper possession set Bristol have had in this second half, which at 71 minutes, 72 minutes is wild to say. And they got through some really nice phases, but again, that Gloucester wall is just standing really strong, and they're also now full of confidence. That gives you an extra bit of energy in this heat. And then ultimately a brilliant turnover with Mia Venner able to push them into touch. But again, we're starting to see Holly Aitchison, although she's down injured at the moment on the far side, see her a bit more prominent running with the ball. Mia Venner, such a huge talent. Been named in as a transition contract for England in the recent contracts that have been announced. She's got an incredibly bright future ahead of her. Was capped in 2020, quite a long time ago, as a real youngster. Been plagued with injury since then, really, but it's really this last season or two been fantastic for Gloucester Hartbury.
Hang on, time's still off anyway. No.
Well, at half-time, we wondered if an almighty upset might be on the cards. Bristol leading by 3 tries to 1 at the break, but it has been a champion's performance. Gloucester Hartbury pulling a right rabbit out of the hat as Holly Aitchison receives a little bit of attention from the Bristol medical staff. By the looks of it, she is departing the field. Aitchison, her first season at Bristol, spoken so warmly about how much she's come to love the squad, the environment, the playing style, how beneficial it's been for her as a person and a rugby player.
Yeah, and she's really kicked on, hasn't she? You know, you'd probably argue she's holding the keys to that England shirt at the moment, and instrumental in the way Bristol Bears play. Her skill set really suits it, you know, a great runner, like Skaz has touched on, loves being out the back of those little pods, good eye for a gap, and I think she's had a very good season for Bristol.
Well, Ella Loverbond and Jenny Haskip are also on for Bears, so there's been a bit of a reshuffle. Meryl Smith heads into the centres and finds herself on defensive duty right away, because here sets the aforementioned Mia Venner, but she's tiptoed along the touchline and trod on a little bit of white paint too. So, with 7 minutes remaining, a chance for Bears to do something.
Yeah, and they have to at this moment, don't they, pretty much? With the time on the clock, with the score, they have to strike as soon as possible in order to give themselves a shot.
They take it quickly. Alicia Butchers, no one's taken more line-outs than her this season. She takes another one now in the dying moments of the final. Meryl Smith and Tatiana Hurd is just marmalising opposition in the midfield, but it's gathered by Murray, quickest to react. And Gloucester hands all over a ball that was not theirs to play with. Neve Jones appealing for a shove off the ball as Reid gets on her bike, thumps that into the 22.
And that's exactly what Gloucester don't need. You don't need to concede penalties right now. You don't need to have a half chance at something, a 50-50. Just stand up, make your tackles, stand up again, make your tackles, make Bristol go through 20, 30 phases to score their try and take up 2-3 minutes on the clock.
Well, they've not scored since the 38th minute, Bristol Bears. They have been stymied something rotten in this second half. But how about the offload? How about the second offload? Here now is Loverbond reaching, stretching, scoring. the field and finishing off a sparkling Bristol Bears score.
Wow. Me and Emily Scassi are just looking at us, looking at each other. Didn't see that coming. It looked like everybody had missed the beat, that nobody really knew what was happening. Anne-Marie's running sideways. Nobody has a clue, isn't it? You just seen it. Looks like she hasn't got a runner. And then she gets a bite of two defenders. Mia Werner's turned in, and Gloucester's defensive system is all over the place. She then has just nailed the conversion from the side. But yeah, I mean, it's those moments, isn't it, in finals where you think everything's sorted, everything's calm, we've got a winner, and one team says, hang on a minute, we've got something else to say here.
Yeah, and they were always going to, weren't they? Bristol got too many good players, too much heart, too much experience out there to not come back and have another shot at it. Phoebe Murray, we've not seen her on the ball hardly at all in this game. Brilliant for her to push through that offload. Here it is again, she's such a powerful runner. Gets Mia Werner turned in. That is a brilliant offload to Hesketh, straight on the field, and then ability to move the ball to Lovibond to score the try. She almost looked like, was the referee about to call that back? And then she looked like she was about to stop, but yeah, down, score the try. But brilliant kick as well from Anne-Marie, just to keep notching those points on the ball for Bristol.
Well, they were missing Bears for half an hour, but they roared back into this. 11 points, 9 points, my maths is terrible. 9 points in it now, 5 minutes left to play, and this is a final befitting of the occasion. Two of the best sides locking horns on the biggest of stage, but a big defensive intervention there, just immediately taking the sting out of that momentum switch.
And we saw Gloucester score 3 tries in 7 minutes. So when we're standing here saying, look, game's done, this lady's been very good, great ball in hand, but what a defensive effort. Hannah Jones in there, making sure Gloucester have an opportunity to get that ball back.
And Steph Else making the tackle there. One of the youngsters awarded that transition contract by John Mitchell, and they take such pride in their pathway here at Gloucester Hartpury. Some of the youngsters coming through, perfectly placed to become the next superstars of the international and the club game, much like Cecilia Tuipulotu, on now wearing 18. Uncharacteristic error. Ball is back with the women in blue, looking to strike once more. Big carry from Cunningham. She's looked bright-eyed and bushy-tailed since coming on. Now her locking partner, Abby Ward, still going. Incredible that she's played well over 1,000 minutes this season on her return from giving birth.
Tackle!
Negrelli going backwards, Bears, but with ball in paw, just how they like it. Smith, Burgess just barking orders, marshalling some of the heavies lining up, and it's Negrelli who has another carry. Reed is waiting for it. 3 minutes to make up 9 points on a side who've been beaten just once by 2 points all season long. Steve Jones with one of her trademark dominant tackles, but the ball had been offloaded, and as with Bears, and it's not now, it's with Gloucester Hartpury. That might be the game.
Mo, please.
3 minutes, and they will not be in any hurry here to play high-risk rugby.
Yeah, you'll expect to see Mo probably taking all of the available time at each breakdown until she's jibbied along by the referee. And it's still a decent amount on the clock. You can't pick and go your way to a victory from here, but what they can do is really control possession and tempo.
They thrive in high-pressure environments, this lot. Sean Lynn said they are winners. Well, they didn't look it for 40 minutes. But apart from a brilliant strike move from Bristol Bears in the second half, they have looked every inch the queens of Queensholme in this second half, and again they draw the penalty.
It's a good decision, you know, it just takes time out the clock, forces Bristol just to wait.
It does, but I could just hear Mo say they're a little bit frustrated that the T-boys ran on immediately. What they can do is take their time over that decision, and the clock is still running. Then when the T comes on, the second start from there for the kick. So she understands the rule very, very well, and is a little bit frustrated that it was kind of taken out of their hands a bit too fast.
I'll give you 15, Emma.
very harsh to criticise your backroom staff for being too efficient. Emma Singh, who has been prolific and pinpoint and professional in parking a couple of moments early on in the game that weren't quite befitting of a playmaker of her calibre, but that, another beautiful nudge from the Gloucester Hartbury fullback, and now feels an appropriate moment to bring in the Red Roses Centurion alongside me with her pick of the Premiership player of the match, Katie, who has sparkled for you in this final.
Yeah, look, there's been some absolute standout players. Emma Singh was one of them, thought she was absolutely outstanding. The way she's kicked, she's really kept that scoreboard going. I think she's been very good today. You know, Bethan Lewis has been brilliant. I've been wax lyrical about that lady. I don't think she gets enough. But the win, for me, the play of the match is this lady's just about to drop on your ball, Sarah Beckett. She is carried. She has been phenomenal in that midfield. And she's had such a battle with Roe Marsden-Mulhern. But I think, for me, she has been absolutely outstanding for Gloucester today. Work rate, energy, fierce competitive, and she is thoroughly deserving.
She's won a title with Harlequins. She won one last year with Gloucester Hartbury upon signing for the Circus, where she feels so supported and valued. Said it was an absolute no-brainer signing an extension recently. She cannot wait for all that is to come with the dynasty they are building in the West Country. Emily, she has just been magnificent.
She has, and she's the complete physical barometer for this side. Like, she has been flattening people all day. She carries so well. She'll get so flat to the line.
To back, Gloucester Hartbury proved emphatically that they are the dominant force in the women's club game. They have defended their title. They have been made to work to defend their title, beating every team in the country in the process, and withstanding an almighty performance from first-time finalists Bristol Bears today. Bears will be heartbroken as they embrace one another out in the Sandy Park sunshine. The trophy was within their clutches, but then snatched away by Sean Lynn's women, who sit atop the rugby